My name is Robert Ballantyne, Robertballantyne. I am from Stala Mission, which is in northern Saskatchewan, right in the boreal forest. Um, um, I'm currently working here at Edmonton Max Institution. I work as one of the spiritual advisors there under Elder Services. And yeah, it's what I do. Well, for me, I started my healing journey back in 1993, I believe. Back then, we had in my community, like a lot of Aboriginal communities, isolated Aboriginal communities in northern Saskatchewan. We have a lot of social issues, a lot of the impact of the residential school is very pronounced in our community. We've had a history of young people taking their lives left and right. Back then, back in the 80s and well into the early 90s, we had the highest rate of youth suicide in Canada at one time. And myself, I was one of the I'm a survivor of the residential school, and but I'm also a survivor of youth suicide. At the time when in the 80s, I attempted to take my life, and with a shotgun, did a lot of damage to my stomach and my hip, but I survived. However, one of the baby of the family didn't survive. She took her life at the age of 15 years old. And it was pretty hard for me because she shot herself exactly the same place as me. Except she used a more powerful shotgun, 16 gauge, where I used I used a 16 gauge and she used a 12 gauge shotgun. So yeah, she hit her main artery and she lost a lot of blood, and she lost the battle. But as a result of that, I took it really hard. So I made a commitment to honor her, that I would accept life as is, because I was very suicidal at that time, and try to make life to the best I can, and I think I did a very good job since I made that commitment, because I started working as a youth worker back then in 1983. That's at that time we had the highest rate of youth suicide, and at that time we were asked to go out into the community to go look for the medicine for our young people. We even tried Christianity, but I knew about native spirituality, but we didn't know nothing about it. We knew nothing. So when we went down south, this is the theme that kept coming up. The key to helping our young people is to go back to our traditions. I've heard our elders say that our culture is killing us. We have to go back to our traditions, and that's where we were. Our culture we've been acculturated to alcoholism, family violence, drug addiction. It's become part of our culture in our community, and since we have went back to our traditional values, we've seen that this is the missing piece in our communities. We found that it fits like a glove. It's a missing piece for the indigenous soul, and so that's where we are at. So that's why I'm really, I feel very fortunate to be walking in this path as a ceremony man, as a pipe carrier, as a sweat holder. That we are in the midst of the healing movement within the indigenous community, and it's a good place to be at. And I'm happy to be where I'm at right now. Well, that's a very important, extremely important. Identity is extremely important for young people. I learned that because I grew up knowing that we didn't have a history. The only history that were taught to us was that our ancestors were primitive savages that came across the Bering Strait, and that there's really nothing there for our young people to be proud of. And however, in my ceremony, especially in the way that my late uncle was the one that gave me my ceremonies, and I later learned that the ceremonies that we do is a form of the Madewin Society. To the Anishinaabe, they know it as a Madewin Society, but to the Cree, we know it as Mitewewin, the way of the heart. And I'm starting to learn that for us in northern Saskatchewan, where there's so much violence, there's so much death among our people, that our people need to learn this history, where we came from. That in fact that we come from a really proud history, and that when we make those connections through our myths, they call them myths, but like Wisagijak mythology, to the ceremony people, these weren't myths. Wisagijak wasn't a myth. He was real. He was as real. He was as sacred as to the Christians, to their Moses. That's how sacred Wisagijak was. But as a result of the residential school indoctrination, they threw our Wisagijak under the bus and made him look like he's a clown, something that our ancestors made up, primitive people. But in fact, he was real. Right across Canada, different tribes know him with a different name. Like the Anishinaabe know him as the Nanabuju. The Blackfoots know him as Napi. When you go further down, when you go to Central America, the Aztecs know him as Quetzalcoatl. The Mayans knew him as Kukulkan. The Inca Empire knew him as Amaru, to which where America comes from, the origin of America. And it's the same person. It is the same person. So the Amaru means the plumed feathered serpent, and it's they knew that the prophecy that he was going to come back someday. Our ancestors knew that in our ceremonies, that he said that he was going to come back someday that he was going to come back. As a matter of fact, when the Spanish arrived, the conquistadors, Cortez, King Moctezuma of the Aztecs thought it was Wisagitzak. They have that written down in the history books that they thought it was him, but in fact it was the false prophets, and but that's a testament even in our within the Anishinaabe kept those teachings within the Mandewin teachings, that Wisagitzak was going to leave. He said he was going to leave, then he's going to come back someday. So coming back on identity for our young people, it's very important to learn about our indigenous value systems. It's important for us to learn our own histories, where we come from. That's very important for our young people's identity, for their own well-being, to know this history. Well, I've been a pipe carrier since I was 25 years old. I'm 54 years old today, and I've been doing ceremonies since that time. I was also given the shaking tent by my uncle, but most of my teachings involve the Mitiwewin, or Mitiwi. That's another way of saying Miti. And I'm very proud. I'm very happy, and I feel very fortunate for my uncle to pass me those teachings, knowing for a fact that the rock paintings that we have in northern Saskatchewan, they're all over the place within the boreal forest, and we've always wondered where those come from. But now we're learning those are the remnants of the Mitiwewin society, and we have some very well-known Mitios. There used to be an organization with the Mandewin Society. You know, they had degrees, and there were 8 degrees in all, and the ones that completed those 8 degrees became known as the Mitios, or in English, the Mandewin Masters, and we had relatives in our territory. There's a very well-known Mitio by the name of Odapatsigyo or Osapatsigyo. Some people would either know him as Odapatsigyo or Osapatsigyo, but he was a very well-known Mitio in our territory. And he was related to, either first cousins or brothers to Chief Peter Ballantyne. And I have a picture of them sitting together. And that's the other one, is Chief Peter Ballantyne was a Mitio. How do we know this? Well, he had 3 wives, and the Mandewin masters, when they completed their degrees, they were the only ones that were allowed to have 3 wives, but not just the men, but the women also had 3 husbands, because with the Mandewin society, anybody could join. So with that, yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to add. Well, I think it's very important for our non-Indigenous relatives to understand where we come from, because from my education, from learning them too, they have been misled of they're part of the settler colonialism, and they're not being educated of the true history of the indigenous peoples of where we came from, and they're still suppressing our history. They're still the fact that for us Algonquian people, we there's a migration where we came from. At one time we were known as Lenni Lenape, and then there was three clans there. There was the Wolf clan, Turtle clan, and the Turkey clan. And the one of the elders in Saskatchewan told me that they were known as the Anishinaabe were known as the Turtle clan, and us Crees, we were known as the Mahiganak, the Wolf clan. And but that's been lost in our history. They're not even teaching that in the official educational system. We're still experiencing colonialism, and even going further where we came from, prior to that, we were known as the mound builders. And even science has proven that with the blood, the DNA, haplogroup X2A is a very unique bloodline. It's a uniquely Algonquian bloodline that cannot be traced through the Bering Strait. A testament that we with that science is basically acknowledging indigenous knowledge that we've been here all this time. We never came through the Bering Strait. But even that, with this new science, they're still teaching the Bering Strait theory. A testament that we're still experiencing colonization. It is my hope that the healing movement will accelerate because of the fact that our people are starting to learn about the residential school syndrome. They're starting to wake up, and they're going back to our ceremonies. And in our ceremonies, that's where we're finding who we are. That's the 7th generation prophecy is coming to fruition. We can see that it's starting to happen, and I feel very fortunate to be walking in this path with that happening. And so yeah, I just hope this healing movement it accelerates. It reaches to our community in isolated northern communities, because it's over there. It's really the residential school syndrome is really it's keeping our people shackled to the internalized colonial mentality. There's still, a lot of our people still believe that our ceremonies is a form of devil worshipping, and then we need to break that down. We need to break down those walls. Yeah.